Good evening. This is Wednesday, December 12th, 328 days until the 2008 presidential election. The essence of obstruction of justice, the definition of when destroying tape showing, say, the CIA torturing an al-Qaeda minion on a waterboard is a George Tenet-style slam dunk crime, is whether the materials destroyed were relevant to an ongoing legal case. Thus, our fifth story in the countdown is unusually clear for this nearly 7-year fog of Bush. The revelation that not one but 2 U.S. district judges issued orders in June and July of 2005 that the government had to not destroy any evidence relating to the mistreatment of detainees at Gitmo. And the CIA destroyed some of that evidence in November of 2005. The inevitable loophole in this presidency of loopholes, the detainees were not yet at Gitmo when they were tortured and videotaped. President Bush still claiming he did not know about the tapes until last Thursday morning, even though that claim must now be viewed through the prism created by the fact that this administration destroyed those tapes despite being under court order to not even discard evidence of detainee torture and abuse or even of mistreatment. The tapes, documenting hundreds of hours during which 2 al-Qaeda suspects were tortured and then interrogated, erased by the CIA November 2005, but 5 months earlier, in June, U.S. District Judge Henry Kennedy had ordered the Bush administration to safeguard, quote, all evidence and information regarding the torture, mistreatment, and abuse of detainees now at the United States Naval Base at Guantanamo Bay. 1 month later, in July 2005, U.S. District Judge Gladys Kessler issuing an order nearly identical. In January 2005, then Assistant Attorney General Peter Kaesler, most recently the acting Attorney General before Judge Mukasey took that job, assured Judge Kennedy that government officials were, quote, well aware of their obligation to not destroy evidence that may be relevant in pending litigation. In the wake of the tape scandal, the intelligence community, perhaps more concerned with protecting itself than protecting any evidence, ABCNews.com reporting that CIA Director Hayden sent out a classified memo to all agency employees warning them, quote, of the importance of protecting classified information. The memo did not name former CIA officer John Kiriakou, but it might as well have. Some CIA officials believing that whistleblower, with the mixed message, revealed classified information about waterboarding in his interviews with the media and should be prosecuted for it. Something that apparently will not be happening, at least not yet. A senior Justice Department official telling ABC, quote, they were furious at the CIA, but cooler heads have prevailed for the time being. On Capitol Hill this afternoon, after meeting with members of the House Intelligence Committee for 3 hours, CIA Director Hayden answering questions about the day's other big revelation that he actually had found out the tapes had been destroyed more than a year and a half ago, before he moved from his job at National Intelligence to Central Intelligence.
I did not personally know before they were destroyed. No, not at all. I was aware of the existence of the tapes, but really didn't become focused on it until the summer of '06 when I became director, and at that point was preparing to come up in September to brief the committee on all aspects, the full committee, all members, on all aspects of the detention interrogation program.
Time now to call on our own Richard Wolff, senior White House correspondent for Newsweek magazine. Richard, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
When the CIA director and the bipartisan leadership of House Intelligence come out of that meeting in the afternoon, the one thing they all apparently agreed upon, the committee had not been kept fully informed about the existence of the tapes, the destruction of the tapes. This is something of a change in tone, is it not, from a week ago when General Hayden was saying that Congress had been fully informed all the way? Did the scandal take a toll on the agency in those 7 days?
Well, that's quite some reversal, isn't it? It makes you wonder what harsh interrogation methods they use. There is a toll being taken throughout the administration on this story. I was at a Christmas party last night at the Vice President's mansion, no less, and they were all talking about this story, about the political impact of this story, and also there's a personal impact too, which is that if anyone talks about this, at least on the record, they may face legal jeopardy. So there's concern throughout the administration about where this will lead. Wow.
To that point and where it's going to lead, you've also been out on the campaign trail of late. Is the story resonating out there, or is it just in the Vice President's residence?
You know, the subject itself comes up more broadly. The CIA tapes hasn't really emerged in itself, but look, waterboarding and torture in general is a big issue for Democrats. It's a standard applause line when candidates like Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton say the United States does not torture, and that will be put to an end if they're elected president. I have to say, though, I've heard Rudy Giuliani talk about waterboarding on the campaign trail, and he says, you know, it's not torture because it depends who does it and how it's done. So there's a difference there between the candidates.
Getting back to the administration and its reaction and what you've gauged and what has also come out publicly, is that fear, personal fear, does that have anything to do with why the administration has, at least for the time being, decided against prosecuting this whistleblower who led the team that interrogated Zubaydah on the tapes?
Well, again, I think people are scratching their heads about why this CIA official, former CIA official, is singing out there and revealing everything he knows. Some people inside the administration question whether this is second-hand, third-hand information, how much direct knowledge he has, but it's actually extremely hard for them, given the legal restrictions on what they're allowed to say in public, for them to really question his credibility. And nobody questions that these tapes existed or that they were destroyed.
Well, to that point, your magazine, in fact, is reporting, as Howard Feynman mentioned last night, that let me read it exactly, a detailed written transcript of the tape's contents, apparently including references to interrogation techniques, was subsequently made by the CIA. Apparently that's still in existence. If that gets out, could that be almost as damaging for the administration as the tapes themselves would be, or would still be if the other ones get out?
You know, I don't think it is as damaging, to the point that Don Rumsfeld made about Abu Ghraib. You know, Abu Ghraib was out there and people were shocked by it. His big concern was that there were photos of it. Photos have a lasting, damaging impact. They fixed in the public imagination. That's what the administration was most concerned about here, or at least people in the CIA. As
they wrote in The American President, the movie, there's art. Richard Wolff of MSNBC and Newsweek, as always, Richard. Great, thanks.
Thank you, Keith.